Let's get started. So, hi, my name is Adam Higgins. I am a MarTech consultant here at HighRoad Solution. And today we're talking customer search, subscriber searches within the platform. It's a really awesome tool to kind of dig deep into analytics and looking at specifics within your email marketing program. And it's also cool to download list of certain, targeted groups within your database. And so it's a really, really powerful query searching tool. There's a lot of things to it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down each element within the system, kind of give you some examples of how you can search using the search fields and using the search criteria and the drag and drop features from one side to the other. To kind of back up just one step to get to subscriber search, you go to subscribers and then you go to custom search, and then that sends you to this screen here. If you're familiar with dynamic segmentation already, it's pretty much the same UI to dynamic segmentation. There's not much difference. The UI is pretty much the same. Everything about it, from the fields to the way it operates is just about the same. You can also save dynamic segments from your custom searches. What a lot of clients do that I talk to that use it, they pull down specific lists to kind of look at their email metrics that they're not getting within the metrics that they get on the sent messages page. So what they're doing is looking at specifics within their email marketing program. So let's go in here and kind of just step through each of these tabs here, right? So we got the subscriber profile, subscriber history, you got custom number fields, the zip code fields, which is really awesome feature. I think it's one of the best ones if you really can use that and leverage those fields. Then you got custom date fields, custom fields, which are just text fields. And then you have static segments, and then the marketing behavior or email marketing behavior and activity tab, all right? So in the first section is what you have is your subscriber profile. Okay, and I'm gonna just get rid of this from the canvas there, from the search criteria canvas, and just kind of have an even or a clean start, I should say. And so in the subscriber profile section, you have all of your base fields, all right? So email address obviously is a base field within the BlueHornet platform. First name, last name, your address, city, state, country, work phone, home phone, fax, and zip code. All of these are text fields. And what I mean by that, and I'll show you in just a second. So let's bring over last name really quick. All of these are text fields except for one, which is zip code. And there is a big difference between a text field and a zip code field. And I'll show you the difference in just a second. But with the text field, you're searching like it's text, which means that you got matches exactly, contains, begins with, ends with, matches any, and is empty, right? So you have those 6 different types of conditions that you can put in there, right? So matches exactly is equals, right? So if my last name is Higgins, right? So if I type in HGGINS, it's going to search for anybody that matches Higgins only. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Now, if I do contains, it's going to search for everything in the last name field that contains Higgins. So that means anything beginning or preceding Higgins or after, right? So if I was somebody like Higgins Hill, it would find that last name within the search, right? So anything that contains Higgins. Now, it takes the system a little longer to process that because it's just, a little more work for it. Matches exactly, it's an exact match, so it's easy for the system to perform. But contains, sometimes you'll have those, hyphened last names, so it's sometimes good if you're searching on a last name. maybe to use contains versus matches exactly, unless you know that person's last name is exactly Higgins, right? And then you have begins with. Now, begins with is, you know, whatever it starts with, right? So if I wanted to bring back all of the H's, right? Anybody with the last name that started with H, that's how I would do that. Now, if I wanted to bring back anybody that ends with an S, would be that. So it would bring back Higgins because it ends with S, right? So anything that ends with S, I can bring those back. Now let's look at matches any, right? So if I have multiple options, so I can say Higgins, and then I can do also Higgins Hill, right? So that matches any of these, and then you have to separate these by line. So let me do Higgins Hill. And so the system's going to look at all of these options here and find that within the system. All right. And the last one is empty. So meaning that value isn't present in that field for that subscriber. So that's a text field. That's how you search text fields. So this, just to kind of recap, match exactly is a equals, contains is anything preceding or after, it just finds whatever that value is, begins with is the starting letter or digit, ends with is the whatever that end of that field is, and then matches any allows you to enter multiple values per each line, and is empty just searches for any value that or any subscriber that doesn't have a value present in that field. And so all of these here in subscriber profile are text fields, okay? But what's cool is this zip code feature. Now this is a really awesome feature. What allows you to do zip code radius functionality. Okay, but you still have matches exactly. So I'm in Georgia. I'm in Atlanta area, the metro area, and so my zip code is 30126. Right. So if I wanted to find everybody in that specific zip code, I would type that in and say equals 30126. Now, if I wanted to do contains, it's the same thing, right? So sometimes you have these hyphened zip codes sometimes in the system that come over from maybe your integration, and you don't have that data cleaned up. Or you can have just some bad data in there, and maybe it's a space or something along the lines that's in there. So it's going to bring back anything that contains 30126 begins with. So different states start off with different numbers. So maybe you want to start everything off at 30, right? Ends with maybe. You understand how the zip codes are placed within a specific region, and you can kind of find your area by, ending it with a certain zip code. But once you start to kind of get into that, you might as well just pop over to zip code range, right? So now you can do something where it's, 30126 between 3009 or something like that. I forgot one. And do a range of zip codes, right? It's treating it as a number. And then you can also do matches any, similar to what we did in the text field where we just list all the zip codes. So maybe you got 5 or 6 zip codes that you want to bring back. The really cool one is zip code radius. Now, this is a really awesome feature, right? So what you're doing here is saying, all right, I want to bring back anybody that has 30126 are actually within 30126 within a certain mile radius, right? So let's say you're doing an event and the event is at your office or something along those lines, or maybe it's not at your headquarters and maybe it's in a different city, and where you're holding the event, and so it's in 30126, and you want to invite your members within maybe a 15 to 20 mile radius, right? And so, not every city is set up like Atlanta. Atlanta is very a circular city. So, you know, a 20-mile radius is pretty much the metro area within Atlanta. 30126 is not centered, but I can find the zip code in the middle of the city and bring back everybody in the metro area by putting in a zip code radius. And so those are some of the things that you can do with the zip code, and that's really powerful, right? You can invite, you know, do your event registrations that way and invite people that are close to the proximity of where you're holding that event. And so they say the smaller the list, the better it's going to perform in terms of email marketing. So as you're kind of creating these granular lists, you can kind of drill down and be very specific about who you're inviting to certain events or targeting for a specific campaign. Maybe it's a legislative deal that's happening in a specific area of the country, and you want to pinpoint certain people to be advocates for you for a certain campaign. Zip code radius is an awesome way to do that. All right, so let's take a look at some additional tabs here on the left. So you got subscriber history. Now, this won't be as relevant to a lot of our clients here. I mean, we're dealing with most associations. And so really what this is just giving you when the person is added to the system, when their profile was last updated. 96% of our clients have an integration with us, right? And so we're pulling data over from the AMS and populating these subscriber fields. And so the date joined, the date confirmed, and the last modified profile, those things become a little irrelevant because we're bringing over data similar to that in other ways. And I'll show you that in just a second with the custom date fields, okay? But just to know that you can look at and see when somebody was added to the system, right? So the date joined, you can look and see if the person was added to the BlueHornet system on a specific day, right? Or you can say it was before this date, right? Or you can say it was after a specific period or it's after a certain specific time, all right? I skipped ahead a little there and went to between. You can also do a certain range of dates, all right? And then you can also say when that person was, you know, kind of the days, right, in the past, you know, 30 days ago. That type of thing. So looking at when that person was added to the system. Now, there might be some use cases there for you to use this, but there's other ways that we're going to use dates and show that might be a little bit more powerful for associations. All right, so let's take a look at number fields really quick. All right, and so number fields are treated differently within the system as well. So it's not the same conditions that you can use with text fields. They change it a little bit just to make it more powerful for you to do your searches. All right, so let's look at something like engagement score. All right, so an engagement score sometimes within the AMS is aggregating certain points based upon activity that that member is performing with your organization. So if they go to a specific workshop, that's 1 point. If they renewed their membership, that's 1 point, you know. And then you have the point system might vary, you know, maybe you value a workshop more than opening an email or what have you. So those points are tallied, and then you give that member a specific score. Now that score is put onto a bell curve, and then you can kind of look at the extremes, you know, the tops and the bottoms, and look at your averages and so forth with the engagement score. And so having this here will allow you to kind of see who your most active members are. And so let's say the highest score is 20, right, with your organization. You can bring back all of your members that are your highest engaged, which is the 20, right? Or let's take a look at is greater than, right? And so, you know, looking at it on a scale, if everybody that was over 14 is kind of your top members, right? So is greater than 14, right? Or if you want to look at the bottom of the engagement, right? You can say anybody that has less than 5, right? These are people in jeopardy of potentially not renewing membership, maybe, right? Because their engagement with you isn't really high, you know, and so engagement is maybe an indicator of whether or not a person's going to renew. Maybe you did some analysis like that, and so you want to bring back all the people that will potentially not renew and do a targeted campaign with them. Okay. Another option is between, right? So maybe you want to bring back kind of the middle, right? So maybe you want to bring back anybody that's between, you know, 8 and 14, right? So you can do those types of ranges. It's greater than or equal to, right? You have the same thing as less than or equal to. And so it's empty, nobody with an engagement score, right? Everybody should have one. If it's empty, then there might be a problem with the sync or it's just not registering in your AMS. So that it might be something that you can use to troubleshoot your engagement score. So that's how numeric values are used within the system. And so again, those properties change different, right? Between a text field like we use with the last name, right? And then you have the zip code, and then you have the dates. And so numbers are completely different, and you have your typical equals, right? That's in pretty much all of them. But you also have the greater than or less than, greater than or equal to, and then you can do ranges with your numbers. Is between is allows you to do the ranges. All right, so let's take a look at date fields again and kind of just put a little bit more context to it, right? So I talked a little bit in the last one we talked about recurring messages, and we used the renewal date as an example to, you know, automate your renewals with recurring messages, right? And so the date, let's walk through some of the conditions again that you can use. So you can bring back anybody that has a renewal date of today, right? So that is, 2015 or August 5th, 2015. And then you have the option of is before, right? So anything that's happened before, anything before this date of today. So you'll bring back anybody that has a renewal date before today. All right, is after, right? So you want to target all the people that have future renewal dates coming this year, okay? And then if you wanted to target people between a certain date, so maybe it's between for the whole month you want to bring back, you can do something like that where it's between the beginning of August and the end of August. You want to bring back those people. You can also ignore the year, right? So if you wanted to bring back all the people that have renewal dates in August and you didn't care about 2015, you just wanted to know all of them, you can ignore the year and keep that value checked. And that way it's just bringing back anybody that has a renewal in August, all right? The other option is exactly a certain amount of time, either in the past or in the future, all right? So let's kind of break this down a little bit and explain how you can use this. So let's say I want to do something exactly one day in the past, right? So you would say this renewal date is based on the renewal date. Let's say my date in the system is today, 8/5/2015. That's the value that's on my subscriber's profile, right? So I can put in 0 here, 0 days in the past, and that will bring back anybody that is today, okay? If you ignore the year, it's going to bring back anybody's renewal date on August 5th, regardless of the year, Okay. Now, if I did 1 day in the past, it's going to bring back anybody that renewal date is August 4th. Okay. Ignoring the year. Now, if I did this, I changed the ignore the year, it would be anybody that is August 4th, 2015. You can also do that in the future. So I can say 1 day in the future, and that would be August 6th. If I ignore the year, obviously it will give me back anybody that is in August 6th, regardless of the year. Now, how do you use this, right? So usually you do like renewals in the 30, the 60, the 90-day windows, right? So you want to put out reminders before the date is going to happen, right? Not something that's already happened in the past, right? So let's say in 30 days, I want to remind my members of their upcoming renewal. So I can say their date is exactly 30 days in the future, right? So 30 days from now, I'll send out an email saying, hey, your renewal is coming up in the next few weeks. Here's a link to renew. And that is how you would kind of create that custom search, that custom query to find who are those people that are due for renewal in the next 30 days. All right. And so you can do the same thing for your 60. You just change the number, and then the same thing will apply in 90. Now, the people that haven't renewed and it's past due, you can do the same thing and see all the people that are past due, 90 days overdue with paying their renewal. You just change that setting to past. Okay, so really powerful tool. It really helps with marketing automation and creating some recurring messages to allow you to let the system do all of the work for you. Understanding how it works can be really, really powerful when it comes to doing some custom searches. And let's talk about custom fields as well. So this the same thing. These are just text fields, and so anything outside the base fields that come with BlueHornet, you can add additional text fields, and sometimes we see these a lot. Gender. So if you want to target specifically males or females, and you can also target specific job functions. And so, and again, with this drag and drop feature, you can drag as many values onto the canvas as you want. And so this can easily be all one search here. And if you wanted to remove any, you just click the X's next to them to kind of clean up your canvas if you just want to remove a certain criteria that you don't want to use anymore. And so it was getting a little long there. So I just wanted to kind of clean that up, but just to show you how easy it is to create some new criteria and remove, just clicking the X and then dragging the fields onto the canvas there. All right, so let's move on to the last two, which is static segments and behavior and activity. So any segment, which is a list that resides in the system. So a segment is just basically a list that you have in your system. You can use those as search criteria. So anybody that's in that list, or anybody that is in all of the lists that you select, or anybody that's not in any of these lists, or not in all of these lists, right? So let's kind of step through this a little bit too. So here, I'm going to do a search for a specific committee. So I'm going to choose the tax committee. Now that tax committee, maybe I got a specific campaign that's going out to that committee that I'm communicating to, right? And so I want to bring back anybody that's in this segment, all right? Or if I wanted to do something where I didn't want to communicate at all to that committee. I can do not in any, right? So that just removes, that becomes more of an exclusion at that point, all right? And so, which is, that's a pretty cool feature, so that you can also use the list as fields, right? And so what we see most times is we do a lot of these integrations, and committees is one of those situations where people are in multiple committees. So it's what they call in geek speak a one-to-many relationship, right? There is only one customer, one member, but there are many committees, and you can't easily store that in a field, in a text field. And so what we do is we create integration, what we call pre-segmentation, and add automatically each night all of the committees that a member is in, and use those as, and populate those as lists. And so here I can select multiple committees, and that gives me the flexibility of almost having that one-to-many relationship, and I can use it in a way where I can select multiple committees if I wanted to, and it just makes it really easier and really clean to use that one-to-many relationship. And so segments really becomes really powerful when it comes to your custom searches. You can also do when the person actually joined a segment too. So you can select the tax committee and see who had joined that segment, who was added to that segment. See all of the new people that were in the tax committee. Maybe they're, you know, all the people that are new to the tax committee, you just want to remind, you know, 5 or 6, you know, of the committee members that are in the tax committee. You can do that and say maybe the join date for your committee is always on an annual basis, you know, January 1. You can say all the people that join on January 1. And so you would just toggle your calendar like so and click on the date and say, bring back all of the people that have joined that specific segment on January 1, all right? And so now we're gonna get into some of the engagement features. And so this provides another layer of not only complexity, but the necessary complexity sometimes to really dig deep into your email marketing activities, okay? So let me clean up my search criteria again. So you're just clicking those X's removes your search criteria. And so let's step through, there's about 7 or 8 of these different activity criteria that you can use. And so these are also powerful as well. So opens. You can check to see how many people have opened at least one or so email in the last, let's say, 60 days. So this is really an engagement kind of litmus test, if you will. So if somebody has not opened the email in the last 60 days, they're not engaging with you, right? They don't have an active, you don't have a really active rapport with that member. You may want to consider removing them from your emails and maybe doing a campaign that specifically targets them, right? So maybe you want to see who are all the people that have not opened at least one email in the last 60 days. All right, so you get that list together and maybe find all of the commonalities with that specific target audience, and then do a campaign around them to get them back and engaged into your email marketing campaigns. All right, and so you can do the same thing with clicks, right? So clicks is a little harder to get in email marketing. You see clicks rates around 5 to 6% mostly, right? So looking at the people that actually did click on a link in the last 30 days is probably your most engaged members. And so if you want to look at who is really engaged into your email marketing programs, looking at the people that have clicked at least one email in the last 30 days. And you can change these numbers here. And then you can also look at a specific link, right? You can pinpoint an exact link that, you know, something that somebody has clicked on. So you just bringing different items over to the canvas, all right? So let's bring this one over here. So this is a specific link. If you want to know if somebody has, you know, clicked on a specific link, it's clicks by message, right? That's really powerful, right? Now, if you wanted to do by opens by message, it's just the same thing. You can pinpoint a specific message and say, I want to see all the people that have opened this exact message, and that's awesome too. And you can kind of mix and combine all of these as well to make a really targeted list. All right, and let's talk about revenue. So if you have conversion tracker, and conversion tracker and ROI tracker is basically something that you install onto your website. It's a script that you fire when an action occurs on your website. It does take a little programming on your side. You get your IT involved. They install a small script. You turn it on in the system. What happens is there's something that is appended to a link. When that person clicks on that link and they go to your website, a session starts. Once that session starts, it starts tracking that conversion. With that person actually clicks on or purchases an item that you intended them to do, and then you fire off that conversion and send that data to BlueHornet. And here you can see which ones have attributed a certain amount of revenue, or the people that have attributed revenue within the system. All right, and then we can also look at, and let's clean some of this up because it's getting a little long here. So let's kind of remove some more of these items here just by clicking that X in the top right corner. And so let's, we got 3 more here. And so we're going to do subscribers by message behavior, right? So we can take a look at a specific message, and then you can choose what type of deliverability they have, or what type of behavior they had with that specific message. So if you want to see all of the people that have bounced, let's say you have a newsletter that you send, you can see how many times that person has bounced, you know, in the last X amount of days, right? Going on to social activity, there is a social feature integrated in BlueHornet, and if you use that, you can start to measure some of the social activity and see who your engaged people are, right? And so you can look at things by a specific campaign. Now, if you're using campaigns, basically that just allows you to categorize your emails, and it's on when you create a draft, you specify that specific campaign, you select your campaign, and you can see all of the social activity for that specific campaign. And the last one is mobile activity. Now, mobile activity allows you to look at maybe a specific message, right? And so let's say you have a newsletter that you send out, and you want to see, look at all the people that have opened up your email by, set my session there, have opened up my email by mobile phone. Okay, so if you want to look at and see how many people are really, you know, engaging with you on a mobile device, use the mobile activity feature, and it'll allow you to see and give you a number of the amount of people that are engaging with that newsletter. And if your newsletter is not responsive and you just have a desktop version of your email, then what you should do is, and if you have a large percentage of the people that you send a message to are opening up on mobile, then you might want to rethink your design and start to you know, redesign your newsletter and make it responsive so that it shrinks down or looks right on when it goes down into a mobile device. So that is all of the different features with your custom search and how to search. And pretty much you can save the search as a dynamic segment, or you can dump it into an Excel file. Once you can scroll down just here and you hit submit. It allows you to save it into an Excel file, select the different fields, or you can save it as a dynamic segment, and then now you have that list saved, and you can go back to it at any point in time or use it in any of your email marketing campaigns. Okay, so that is it for custom search. And so if you have any questions, hit me on Twitter, and look forward to seeing you on the next one. All right, take care.